Hello, and welcome to the Game Design Archive with Edvard and Ludwig, episode 19. Today, we're gonna talk about why your gamepad is holding you back. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with a little story. Are you here, Ludwig, by the way?
Yes, I am here. Hello.
Hello. So my story is about Hollow Knight Silksong, actually. So you were playing Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yes.
And you told me that the pogo, because we had we were discussing the pogo, right? And how a lot of people are complaining that the pogo is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And then you said something like, you said it's not like, you didn't say it was easy, but you were like, it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, you're using a 8-bit DOE M30, which is a Saturn style pad, which has a pivoting D-pad, which is on a gamepad the best kind of D-pad you can use.
Yeah, it's super.
And most people probably probably don't even play on the D-pad. They probably play on like a PlayStation 5 controller or something and use the analog stick. So obviously they think it's way harder because that's not a good not a nice input method to use to you do the diagonal movement, right? Down.
Yeah.
It's not precise at all. It's super bad. And so that's kind of where I want to start off. Like, basically, D-pads are kind of garbage on modern controllers. And even, like, without that, people use the analog stick. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I wouldn't even say that the problem is necessarily that specifically the D-pad sucks. It's that the entire controller sucks. And I'm specifically talking about the standard Xbox and PlayStation controllers for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S or whatever it's called now. I don't know. It's like those controllers are really bad.
Yeah, they are there, but they are better for some things than others as well, right?
Yes,
so
that's true.
Sorry, you go ahead first, and we can discuss details later.
But yeah, like to I guess make your point extra clear. I guess it's partly what I want to say today at least is like controllers suck, but also like people are using their controllers wrong in a way. Because as you mentioned, there are probably a lot of people who like play Silksong using the analog stick, right?
Yes.
And that's completely stupid because when you're using the analog stick, you're like traveling very far when you want to flip between like left, right, top, down.
Yes.
But like in that game, it's very important to be able to very quickly switch.
Yeah.
And so using the D-pad is important. Like it's super important, but also having a good D-pad is also important, right? So it's like both of these things. Like people don't really think about the input they use, but the input also sucks, kind of.
Yeah, and also people generally prefer Xbox style gamepads, I think. And they are really bad, for D-pad movement, because the D-pad is like, it's how should I say this? You know the D-pad, it's asymmetrical, right? So the D-pad is below, and it's not exactly like a PlayStation controller, because a PlayStation controller is more ergonomic to hold the symmetrical sticks compared to the Xbox controller. Like it's more to have your thumb down there is very unergonomic. I feel like is that a word? It's not unergonomic. Sorry, I don't know what it's called. Not ergonomic. And so it feels bad, and then the D-pad is bad as well on the Xbox, like the newer Xbox. I mean, the old Xbox has kind of had bad D-pads always. So I sort of understand why people tend to use the analog stick, but then again, it's way worse to use the D-pad or the stick, especially the sticks. We can start talking about that a bit later, but like also the sticks that are used in the controllers for the what do you say, the official, what's the word, like the first party controllers. Those sticks are garbo. There is way better analog sticks you can get as well, which is another thing, right? But yeah, so sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I guess what I want to do is like make an argument for kind of having specialized input.
Yeah.
So, for example, me, I only have a PC, I don't have any consoles. But I have a keyboard and mouse, and then I have 2 controllers.
Yeah.
And so, as you mentioned, I have the 8BitDo M30, which is a great controller, I recommend it.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know how it looks, you can look it up if you want.
We can
but
put
it's
a link
like,
to it.
Yeah, sure. And it's like, it's a controller, but it's only, on the left you only have the D-pad, and then on the right you only have the buttons. So there's no like sticks or stuff in the middle. So it's, that's the controller I use for like 2D side scrollers and platforms and stuff, right?
Yeah. And one thing about it, not to diss it completely, but it's not even that high quality. Like you could make a version of this controller that was premium, and it would be way better. But like, I mean, I guess the D-pad is pretty good, right? But the other is like very plastic. I mean, obviously use plastic, but you know what I mean. Like it could use better buttons and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like there is just nothing that comes even close to it for like 2D games. So it's just way better, right? In terms of gamepads, you could argue like keyboards or whatever. Like a keyboard is probably a pretty good input method for platformers as well, or 2D games, right? Because you have control, like you can do diagonals and stuff, right? Pretty well. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So, well, to kind of hammer down on your point, I guess there are things about the M30 that aren't great. And I would say that, you know, the D-pad could be improved, because sometimes it like, when you're doing diagonals with the D-pad, sometimes it like registers as going straight down or straight to the side. Like very rarely, and like stuff like that. So it's not a perfect controller, but like what I'm trying to say is that it's way better than using an analog stick. And then, you know, the second controller that I have is another 8BitDo. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But it's basically a PlayStation layout, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have the 2 thumbsticks, and then you have a D-pad and whatever. And I use that for, you know, 3D games like Dark Souls or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever you need to like, move in 3D with a controller, I guess.
Yeah.
And then of course, if I'm playing like an FPS or an RTS, I use a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
And I guess the sort of point is of all this is that like, I think a lot of people don't think that the input method matters that much.
Yeah.
Like people will say like, oh yeah, playing Dark Souls is easier with a controller, but like you can do it with a keyboard still. And like it's true, but I think people underestimate how much the controller like influences how you play the game.
Also, I'm not like, to be honest with you, if people have done this, they're gonna tell me no, you're stupid. But I haven't really played Dark Souls with a keyboard and mouse, but like in theory that should still be more optimal, right? It's just more comfortable to play on a controller, because a mouse is like you have direct control over like so like a stick, an analog stick. That's why aiming like first person shooters is so bad on controllers, right? Because it's your movement is over time, right? So you're moving a stick, and then that's tied to a speed which you move the camera, right? But a mouse doesn't work like that. A mouse has you move it, and then it calculates how far it should move the camera based on how much you moved it, right? So it's instant. So it's way more precise than a stick, right? So in theory, that should still be better for Dark Souls, right?
Well, it depends, because but you aren't really aiming in Dark Souls though. That's the thing.
I mean, you could
a little bit.
I guess you lose out a bit on the keyboard because, but I don't know if that's too bad. Like the analog stick might be better for the 3D movement. I don't know if that's true. Actually, because in theory you just move in 8 directions, and you have 8 directions on the keyboard, right? But I guess you could argue you can move slowly, but who does that, right? I guess it feels because this goes a bit into like inertia and stuff. Like a lot of 3D action games or 3D games in general have like a lot of like, you know, slow down, speed up stuff on their movement. And that feels very nasty on a keyboard, because a keyboard is instant, right? It's like you click and it happens. So then it just feels better on a stick, because a stick, you sort of like, well, they bind the speed to that analog part, right, as well. So it just feels better on that.
Yeah, it's sort of like built into the input method.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good point. I think that's a good point. You know, whenever you mention inertia, I just think about Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh dear. I mean, that game probably feels better on a stick, to be fair.
I think it does, actually. Now that I think about it, it probably would feel way better, because that game has like insane inertia. It's like if you press the right button, D or whatever, you know, your character will like run in circles, like pretty big circles, because like he's not turning like on his axis. And I think that's a good point. Like, yeah, that's probably why controllers feel better for some games.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, well, now you know.
But yeah, it makes sense, because the inertia is kind of built in, because there's a bit of a speed up, I guess, when you flick the stick.
Yeah. So one more point I want to bring up with the gamepads. There is so you use the 8-bit pad, which is, I mean, like the, not the M30, the like the one with two sticks. I don't remember the name. Sorry.
We'll put a link.
Yeah, we'll put a link to it. And so that one is not that high quality either, right? M30 is, or like 8-bit is like, you know, they're not doing super high quality. They're doing cheap but good stuff, basically, right? Yeah. So in that sense, you could have a better controller there, to be clear, right? Because I think those sticks are the normal. I don't remember the name of the. But they're like the same as the first party stuff. So there's like a lot of third party controllers you can get, other brands. I, for example, I use way more. Actually, I'll go through what I use for my games, right? So I'm like you. I use keyboard and mouse for first-person shooters and strategy games. Well, if the strategy games are designed for PC, right? So like RTS and stuff. And then I use an M30 for platformers and 2D games in general. And then for 3D games like Dark Souls, I use a GameSir controller, which I don't know, it's some weird brand, but the thing is, it has like micro switches on all the buttons, so it's clicky, and then it has Hall effect sticks and triggers, which is like, they feel way smoother. You should try Hall effect. I mean, you don't play that much on those, right? But still.
No. Yeah.
And then for like arcade stuff, I use an arcade stick, right? And that's uses like, I mean, not custom parts, but you know what I mean. Like, I picked out the parts I wanted for that, right? So it's like super specific to what I want. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. That, and actually for like, I used like a lot. I played a lot of what was that game? Like Osu, you know, the rhythm game. Then I used the pen tablet. So I am with you 100% about the having like the right controller for the game or whatever, right? I'm definitely in that boat. I'm not in, because there are a lot of PC people. I think there's less now these days, but there used to be a lot of PC people that were like, oh, this game, don't buy it because you can't play it on keyboard and mouse or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's silly, because I mean, most games actually are better on other input methods, for me at least.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, except for like first-person shooters and strategy games and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. I don't think, maybe like a top-down shooter is better on a keyboard and mouse than on a controller, but yeah.
Yes, it is. If you're talking like straight top-down, aim circle around you, yes. That is decent on a controller, because you can use two sticks, right? Yeah. Twin stick shooter, I guess is the name. Yeah. But still, no, the mouse is way better for that, right? Yeah. And you can also argue that keyboard is just better, or like keyboard adjacent controllers. So there's like, we talked about this before, right? With hitboxes and flat boxes or whatever they're called, like keyboard style button only things, right? Yeah. Which is basically a keyboard. Like because you have a key or a button for each finger, right? So I think that's why if you're trying to be optimal, keyboards or like all button controllers are probably better. But I still, because it's not only about optimum, right? It's sort of like there is something to. I mean, obviously, FPS wouldn't be good with a keyboard, like only a keyboard, right? Aiming with it, but there's still something for me at least. I don't know if you agree. There's something to the mouse, like it's not only that it's more precise than a joystick. It's actually the mapping is very like nice, if that makes sense. Like turning your camera with a mouse in first person feels really nice, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it makes sense because like your speed isn't capped, right?
Yeah, but it's because yeah.
Well, it's capped by how fast you move the mouse. But like
my point is that if you're playing a game where you can like turn around in circles or whatever, maybe a D-pad or a arcade stick, like the stick joystick, is more intuitive, right? Because it's actually mapping the motion of like going in a circle to what's happening on the screen. Whereas a keyboard wouldn't do that exactly, but it would still be more precise. Like a keyboard, you could be more precise with your inputs on a keyboard. If that, like, if you want to go, so we talked about pogo, right? Like you said, you sometimes you're bad and you're missing the diagonal inputs on the D-pad. Yeah, on a keyboard, you press 2 buttons, right? And that's always going to register correctly.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, a keyboard might be more optimal, but that's an optimal I don't care about, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, I think it's the like niceness of the feedback being, mapped.
Yeah.
I think I prefer that. Because otherwise I would just play all 2D games on keyboard instead, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, like, a big part of it, I guess, is also ergonomics, right? So it's sure, not only, as you said, optimal stuff. So it's like, technically, as you said, you could play Hollow Knight on a keyboard, right?
Yeah.
I find that, having both of my hands on the keyboard and playing is like super uncomfortable.
Sure, yeah.
So like, if I wanna have like one hand for movement and then one hand for like pressing the attack button or whatever, doing that on a keyboard is like super uncomfortable for me to like sit for several hours. So like that's why I use the controller instead, because it's way more comfortable. So it's like, but then again, it goes back to like the specialized input, right? Because I have this super specialized controller, so it's even more ergonomic, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
There is one quick thing I want to mention about controllers before we move on, and we've talked about it a little bit, but like I want to make it extra clear. Like most controllers that are commercially available are kind of shitty. Like construction wise, your GameSir controller is maybe an exception to that.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's high quality in terms of what it's made of. It's just have high quality, like the parts that you're actually, like the buttons and the sticks. Those are good quality, I guess.
Yeah. But that's sort of my point. Like the M30 controllers that I have kind of bad buttons, and they have.
Yes, I agree with that.
And stuff like that, and like the triggers are they called trigger buttons? Yeah, they are. They're pretty bad too, and it's like, it's kind of weird, and I hope more like controller manufacturers start doing this. Like, put some nice stuff in your controllers, because like for keyboards, there's like a billion mechanical switches and like keycaps and stuff, and you can choose whatever you want, and everything's great. But like for controllers, you pretty much can only choose shitty plasticky stuff, right?
Yeah, it's also insane. Like, we need to mention that the what's it called? The like PlayStation. I don't even know. Dual Edge or something. I'm butchering the name here. Like PlayStation 5. There is this controller for PlayStation 5 that costs like 200 euros or something. Like it's that, I don't know about you, but I think that's expensive for a gamepad, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's the same thing as the cheap one, except you have those like things on the back and you can remap the keys or something. It's super garbage. Like for what you get for the price, right? It's ridiculous. And then you can go get, like I said, like a GameSir controller or something for 50 euros. and it's like, good stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, that like the first party versus third party thing is super annoying because like third party is getting so much better than first party. Basically, it's ridiculous. Is my point. If you know what you're looking for. And then also on top of that, the console manufacturers, will get to consoles later maybe, but they like block inputs from third-party controllers unless they have some like stuff, right? So like for example on a PlayStation 4 and 5, if you plug in a controller that works, by the way, it works on the console, but doesn't have the like authentication bullshit that Sony wants them to have, it just stops working after 4 minutes, I think it is. Like it just flips off after 4 minutes. Which is the scummiest shit I've ever seen, ever. Because guess what? Like, if you don't know that, you think your controller is broken, right? And you should get a first-party controller that works. So they've obviously done that to, like, fuck with them. Yeah. It's so shitty. And then their first-party... Like, because, like, let's say it cost 200 euros, and it was fucking amazing, their controller. I wouldn't be that mad about it. I mean, it would still be expensive, but fine. But the thing is, it costs 200 euros and it's garbage. It's heavy, the sticks are trash, the buttons are heavy and trash. I just want to throw it away.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the, like, I don't know, subjective thing, but I generally don't like wireless controllers anyways. So the battery is like extra weight for no reason, right? Because like both the M30, because I have the Xbox version of the M30, which doesn't have a battery. And I have the Game Server controller, I also don't have a battery, so they're way less.
Yeah, that's actually, I used to have a PS4 controller, and that I used for my computer, and I ripped out the battery, and that was like the best thing ever, because suddenly the controller was like less than half the weight.
we did the same. I did the same. The battery and the like rumble.
Oh yeah, the vibration things.
Yeah, and it's super light. The PS4, like if you do that and have a PS4 controller, that's actually probably the best all-round controller you can have, I think, because the D-pad is okay. And it's positioned well for platformers, and the sticks are, I mean, it's still the bad sticks, but they're still fine, right? And the buttons are, the buttons, because all gamepad buttons are trash, except, the more expensive stuff. Yes, sorry. Did I interrupt you? Did you say something?
No.
I don't remember. Where we
go? I guess, because I was talking about, like, the crap quality of stuff. That was all.
Right. Yeah, maybe we should go on to consoles then, because we...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mentioning consoles, yeah. So there's a lot of things that are garbage with the consoles, and one of the things is that. That's super annoying. There's obviously ways around that. Like, you can buy these adapters and stuff, and they work pretty well, but it's like, why are they even doing that? Like, if they're gonna provide such shitty gamepads and peripherals, why do they need this stupid DRM? Like, it's so annoying. Like, because on PC it's so nice. You can plug in whatever, and if it doesn't work, you can just remap it, right? It's like, oh, you play a game and it only has keyboard support. Well, you can just run some software that emulates makes your pad run as a keyboard, right? Yeah. So fucking nice. You can run whatever, however you want, and then you go like, oh, I want to play this game. It's only on PlayStation, and then you can't use your preferred controller method because Sony, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's shitty.
Yeah, and it's not better on Xbox, by the way. The only one that is better is, funnily enough, Nintendo. For once, I don't think it's because they're nice people, because they're definitely not nice people, right? But it's probably just they didn't, like, they forgot to add it or something. I don't know. Because like what you'll see if you buy third-party controllers, they'll work on PC, Android, and Nintendo Switch, basically, always, right? Or Mac, like all PC platforms and mobile versions, or what do you say? Phone version, right? Phones and PC and Nintendo Switch for some reason. And I guess it's because they don't have any DRM on the gamepad. Yes. Yes. another, like, I guess we could move off controllers a bit because we want to talk about some other like peripheral related things or like stuff. So one other thing about the consoles is that usually they have forced VSync, which is terrible for input, right? So you'll get an extra frame of lag. Like in general, if you play games on console, they have like 1 or 2 more frames of lag almost always compared to PC.
Yeah.
Except for one of them, which is again the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is absolute dog shit. I don't know what they did. I don't have the exact like specifics, but if you play an action game on the Switch, you know. And it's basically like you get one like the dock, you know, you put, you know how the Switch works, right? You put it in a thing, right? And that has like, it takes 1 frame for it to go through that, and then it has VSync, and then it's also laggy, right?
Yeah, didn't they make it like worse in the Switch 2 or something? I read something about that.
Maybe
too.
I haven't. Maybe they did. I mean,
I haven't looked into it
even
too much,
if it's
but, like,
as bad. It's like if you run games. Again, I said you get like 1 or 2 more less frames on PC. Then it's like, okay, on compared to PlayStation, Switch is like 1 or 2 more frames, right? So then it's like you had 1 or 2 frames of lag on PC, and then you have like 4 or 5 or 6 on a Switch, right? It's actually unplayable.
Yeah.
It's not nice. Input lag is super under, like, what do you say? It's not underrated. It's like under, like people don't complain enough about input lag.
People don't care about it.
Yeah, it's in like, I don't remember, was it? I played Mario Kart. That's what I played. For some reason with some friends or whatever. It was so laggy. I don't know how people can play that game. Like you press the button and it takes like a second before, like I was doing the, you know, the drift thing, and it's like it takes a second almost before the character starts drifting. I'm like, how can you? I mean, I guess it's a party game and it doesn't matter or whatever. But like,
well, isn't that also?
Sorry,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, isn't that also like intentional, like inertia stuff?
Probably a bit, but it was also like responsiveness wise.
Maybe.
I mean, it still, even if it is that, it doesn't matter. Like you want it to be somewhat responsive, even if it's animated coolly or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's a good point, because like whenever I talk about the input lag, people seem to like not understand what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? Like 2 frames, it doesn't matter. 3 frames, it doesn't matter. And then 5 frames, it doesn't matter. And it's like they keep going. And it's like, well, at some point, the input lag has to matter, right?
So I think for me, like tolerance-wise, where it's like I can play this is probably 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
4 is like bad but playable maybe, and then 3 is like that's okay. But obviously it's nicer with like 2. I don't know, 2 or 1. It's like hard to judge what 2 or 1 is, because you know it's based on time. You know what I mean, right? Where it's like, well, it depends on when you click on the frame and blah blah blah, right? So when you're down to like 1, 2, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, there's stuff you can do, like for example, emulators. I don't know why more games don't explore this shit. Actually, it's kind of interesting. Emulators has this thing where they do basically what multiplayer games do, where they like they run ahead, right? So they'll like they'll simulate the game forward with the same input. I think, I don't know what, I probably use the same input, right? And then but then they'll update the previous one, right? So basically you'll modify the past, right? So what you're seeing is in the future, and then you're modifying the past, which makes it be less laggy. It might sound insane, but it makes sense if you think about it. Yeah. Because it's like, it will move your character as if you move the last frame instead of as if you move this frame, which means it will extrapolate into the future faster, like change your whatever faster, right?
Yeah. Like to explain it in perhaps layman terms or whatever you want to call it, it's like, I guess I don't know, I haven't like read up a lot on how it works, but I would assume the way it works is like if you press right, the game will continue to assume that you press down right until you let go, and then it will like correct the assumption like after the fact.
Yes. So if you but the point that would be fine. Like the point is then if you're holding right and then it's like it's going further right than you're actually doing, but then you press left, then it's gonna delete like 1 or 2 of
Yeah,
the frames,
exactly.
which means
Yeah.
you're gonna move left in the past, which is gonna move you left faster.
Yeah.
So what will happen if you took this to the extreme, like let's say you had a second of buffers, right? Then you would literally teleport, right? Because it would change your movement so far in the past that you would be in a different spot, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like small amounts, it looks and feels really nice, right? Because
if it's
just
only a few
makes
frames.
it more responsive.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like going back to input lag, like
Yep.
I think my tolerance for input lag is quite a bit higher than yours because I don't play as many action games as you do.
It depends
I
on the
play
game,
more
for
like
sure.
yeah. But like you play a lot of like shmups and stuff, and I only play a little bit. I only dabble. But I do wanna say that like I think that input lag is sort of an indicator of, or like most people's view on input lag, I guess, is sort of an indicator of like where gaming is at right now. Holy shit, that sounds pretentious, but you get what I'm saying. Like people don't care about input lag because they don't play games where input lag matters.
They don't care about the gameplay, I guess.
Exactly. That's sort of my point. It's like, because if you do play games, if you do play like shmups like you do or whatever, games that require very precise input, you start to like get better at detecting it. I notice it myself. Like when I like replay games that I played a long time ago and I didn't notice anything, I'm like, holy shit, this feels like crap. And then I realize there's input lag and stuff like that. And it's like, the fact that people don't realize that is telling of like the type of gamer that they are, I guess. Sounds very pretentious, but you get what I'm saying.
I mean, it took people 10 years to figure out that 30 FPS feels like ass, right? So
yeah,
or like
FPS is a very good,
10 years from like when they started doing it, right? In the PS3 era. But then again, they still do it, right? They still do 30 years, so I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah.
But that's funny, like we're talking about input lag, like a thing that people don't realize about frame rates actually is that actually affects input lag as well, right? That's probably one of the bigger issues, not the fact that it looks choppy. Because if you have 30 FPS, then you double the input lag.
Yeah.
So like we said, like 2 frames becomes like 4 frames, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Assuming it's delayed by the same amount, because it could be for some other reason, right? So that stuff matters. But I guess people don't think about or care about it. I don't know. And I guess another thing we wanted to bring up is that it's hard to test these things, right? Because people don't care. So like the tools, like thankfully there are some people that care, right? So if you look around, there is information, but not like very, what do you say? Like it's not very. So for example, like I wanted to buy a monitor, right? A while back, and what I want to know is like the responsiveness of the panel or whatever and stuff like that, and that information is like very not standardized or specific, right? So it's like random. Like some screen will say 1 millisecond of delay, and it's like that doesn't mean the same thing as the other person saying there's like one. You know what I mean, right? So it's like it's arbitrary what it means, and it's really hard to find information on what it means. And I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter. It matters a lot, but it doesn't. At some point, it doesn't matter. Like I'm not like, oh, I need 0 milliseconds of latency on my monitor or whatever, right? Because like if it's less than a frame, right, it's probably. I mean, you could argue if it's like 10 milliseconds, that's probably pretty bad. I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? It's really hard to find the information you need when you're buying stuff, as well.
Yeah.
And you'll just have to buy it and test it, or like find some obscure like website or YouTube channel that talks about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of channels about like performance and graphics and stuff, right? But for some reason people don't care about.
Yeah, and I think like screens are also interesting because like I haven't looked at buying a new screen in a long time, so I might be a bit out of date on this, but like it seems like people care a lot about stuff that doesn't matter. So it's like, oh, this screen has the deepest blacks and
like
it's
OLED
super
stuff,
bright and OLED and it's like that doesn't matter. I just want a fast monitor that has a high refresh rate and like fast response times. I'm a gamer. Like that's all I need. And it's like,
I mean, to be fair, everyone is not a gamer that buys a monitor, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like doing art stuff or whatever, like photo editing, I understand why you want a monitor with good like visual quality or whatever, and not responsiveness. But still, if you're playing games, right?
But like even gaming monitors aren't like, they are still like very focused on that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because like,
I mean, I think they're just trying to push something, right? Because they need an argument to sell you a new monitor, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and like OLED and stuff like that is like big deal. Or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it looks a little bit better probably. Like
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I don't care because, like, I think the problem is both of us don't really care that much about the color stuff, right? It's like, oh, the blacks are black or whatever. I say, yeah, cool, okay, the blacks are black, or the, you know what I mean, right? The color.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they are, but I don't know. It's like when you're looking at it, right? It's like, oh yeah, they are, and then you don't care, right?
Yeah.
Then you just play the game.
Yeah, it seems sort of like a marketing thing, right?
Yeah. But I could understand why you would care about that. But the thing is, that shouldn't be the only thing you care about, right? You should care about the other stuff as well.
And to be fair, like people do care about refresh rate, which makes sense. But like, not as much. Maybe.
Yeah, there is a lot of issues with that as well, right? Because like they have weird like refresh rates that don't match the game refresh rates and stuff, and it creates.
Oh yeah, weren't you like scammed when you bought a screen?
No, that was. I mean, it's not a scam, but it's like that's resolution stuff. So like I can explain it very quickly. Like I prefer to play. So when I play older games, I prefer to play them pixel perfect, right? On modern graphics cards, you have this option where you can integer scale. Technical term, right? But you can scale. So if a game is like 640 by 480, you can multiply it until it doesn't fit anymore on the screen. So it's like it just draws its 640 by 480 times 3 or whatever on a 10. No, not by 3. Yeah, by 3 on a 1080 monitor, right? Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so this monitor I bought had like high refresh rate and like high resolution, and it had the bandwidth of the DisplayPort wasn't enough, so you couldn't run it at that refresh rate and that resolution at the same time, which meant it compressed the image, which meant you couldn't run it pixel perfect.
Oh, okay.
But you know they didn't say that anywhere, right? That it was fucking compressing the image, which is insane, and it was an expensive monitor as well. So I just I returned that shit. So I'm gonna be way more careful when I buy monitors in the future.
But I mean that is a sign that people don't care, right?
Yeah, I mean because that is visual quality. I think that's just them being shady. I mean, but I think most companies are doing. Like I looked around after the fact. I think that's like common stuff, right? Actually, they do that compression thing because it's like they made some study that most people don't detect it, and so therefore they use it, right? Because what it's doing, it's like removing bits from the colors or something. I don't know exactly how it works, right? But it's doing some weird shit. It's some standardized stuff. I don't remember. Well, I'll put the name in I'll be like DS something. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, DSC I think or something. I'll put it in the description. Yeah, but that's a bit off topic. That's more of the visual stuff, right? But it's still like it's hard to know what like I just want stuff. I don't know. Like it was easier. In the past, because in the past it was like you had a monitor and you clicked the button and the monitor started and it was just a monitor and that was it, right? You put the DVI thing in and everything just worked. And these days it's like there's like a computer inside of the monitor which itself introduces lag, right? And then you have all these funky features like it's so hard
G-Sync or whatever.
I mean
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, I just want a monitor, and I just want it to respond when I send an image to it. But no, it's gonna do like image, like, you know, it's like fancy, like fixes the colors or something inside the monitor and introduces lag or whatever. And like, no, please.
Yeah. I guess that sort of like segues very well into our next point, which is 4K.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say on 4K more than it's just not. There, it feels kind of pointless to me. On a monitor, at least. I mean, if you have a big TV, fine, I understand. But if you have a monitor, 2K is enough. I don't even run 2K, or sorry, 2K is 1080. Like, what do you call it? 1440, like QHD or whatever it's called, right? 1440p monitor, right? That's good enough in my opinion. But I don't even run that. I don't run 1080 because like most stuff still is kind of broken on 1440 actually. Did you have a point you wanted to bring up?
I kind of want to, I don't know if I want to call it a rant, but like, as you said, it doesn't really make any sense. Because like, sure, you could probably argue that like, you know, we've been saying all this time that, you know, you notice a few frames of input lag. So sure, I'll like accept the fact that people think that like 4K actually does make a difference. But like, even if it would make a big difference, it like doesn't really matter because you need to like, it's like 4 times the pixels, right? I'm right about that, right? I'm not wrong. It's 4 times
compared
because it's to a 1080, or not
no,
exactly maybe, but like roughly.
Maybe it is. Yeah. I mean, it's 4 times the. Yeah, it should be 4 times. Sorry.
So it's like
isn't 1440 2 times, I think, or something. Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. Whatever. Sorry. Continue. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's an absurd. Like it's not like it's twice as big. It's like insane how much more computing you need to compute 4K.
Yes. And that isn't worth it. That's sort of my point. It's way more worth it to have a higher FPS than to have a 4K
for
screen.
Games,
and it's like, if you play video games and you disagree with that, you're not a gamer.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Then you're doing something else.
Yeah, you play games for the graphics.
Yeah.
Which if you do, fine. But like, if you play games for the gameplay, you don't need a 4K screen, and like having higher FPS is like almost objectively better.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it on a big TV, I guess, but
sure.
Like if you're playing on a big laggy TV, I mean, again, are you a gamer now? I'm joking, but you need at least a gaming TV or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
In that case, these days, like I had one point there. What was it? Oh yeah, like another thing. So again, I play like a lot of old games. I just see this is good. We talked about the integer scaling thing, right? So now I can bring it up. That is very underrated. Like if you play old games, like if you play games in a resolution that is lower than the one you have on your monitor, it's people like you can. I'm explaining this poorly. You want things scaled and aligned with the pixels on your screen. It's super important for them to look nice, in my opinion. Like even if they're so pixel art people understand this, right? Where they'll be like pixel perfect scaling your art because it gets like blurry.
Yeah.
But I would argue it matters for stuff that is not pixel art as well, 2D stuff. Because like especially text is completely like try running like a 720 or a 1080p game in 720, like scale it down, it's gonna look not good because everything gets it needs to be aligned to the pixels basically. The only thing that doesn't need that is the 3D stuff, which is like it's just polygons, right? So it's but you still don't want it scaled, right? I'm explaining it poorly. Like what I mean is like you want in that case the viewport needs to match whatever the pixels count is, right?
Yeah.
So you still don't want it upscaled. That's still gonna look like ass. which I guess, did you have anything more to talk about on 4K or?
No.
Yeah, so that brings us into the next point, which is like we wanted to talk about frame gen and AI upscaling and stuff, right? And it looks fucking like ass.
Yeah.
Because it's upscaling the pixels in weird ways and yeah, let's do frame gen first actually. Frame gen, people that think frame gen is a good idea are not gamers. Like you've said that multiple times this episode, so I'm gonna say it this time.
But like this time it's extra true.
Because
that's like
that is just free lag, right? That's free lag. You're interpolating between frames. I guess is that how it works? I'm assuming that's how it works. Like it takes two frames and like makes a frame between them, right?
Maybe it does extrapolate it, but it's still laggy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It does not sound like a good idea to me.
Whatever. It's like because you're because you essentially you make a frame that doesn't exist, right? Yeah. And what happens when you add a frame that doesn't exist? You add a frame of input lag.
Yeah.
And it's like if you do that enough times, you'll suddenly not be playing a game.
Yeah. I mean, if it is extrapolating, I don't think it does. But if it is extrapolating, that could kind of work. But I don't see like it's still silly because it's going into the stuff we talked about with like, why even run the game in 4K? Like run it at 1080 and like make it run fast. Like the speed is so much more important for it to feel nice than the resolution. I don't know. Maybe we're the weird ones here, but like I don't know.
No, I think this is sort of yet again because I do think that frame gen, like most people that I talk to about it are against it. Because I feel like most people realize that it's a super bad idea. I think the people who really push the frame gen stuff are the people who are like making games.
Yeah.
So like I think we've talked about this in like previous episodes. It's like you have graphics people in like working on like Unreal Engine or something, and they're like, I don't want to do my job, so I'll just let frame gen do it, and this is great tech and whatever. And so it's like I think it's those people that push the frame gen.
But like even in their defense, like running like these games in 4K, like native 4K at like 120 hertz, that is like a lot of compute, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you have like complicated scenes with like you know like Unreal Engine stuff, right? So like I see why they end up there, but like it seems silly to me. Like it sounds ridiculous to say we want to run the game at 4K, so we'll frame gen and AI upscale it to 4K, right?
Yeah.
We'll fake 4K to achieve 4K. Why not just run it at 40 and 40? Or whatever, right? I like, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like the trade-off, I guess, doesn't, because the argument is right that 4K and like all this ray tracing stuff and whatever makes the game look good, but in order to run the game with all of these things turned on, you need to fake frames and you need to like upscale the frames or upscale the pixels, I guess. And so the game looks worse. So it's like in the what do you call it? Like with the goal of making the game look better, you're making the game play and look worse.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I truly hope that this is something that like gets abandoned soon, because I feel like I don't know. I think it might be because I don't like keep track of this a lot, but like it seems like this kind of stuff is mostly for tech demos, right? The most of the time when I see people talk about frame gen and AI upscaling,
I don't even remember the name, but they're basically standard now. Like if you run a game, it's so
but like
they're like DLSS or whatever. It's
but I feel like most people don't use it.
No, but like I don't know. I don't remember. I was playing like a AAA game, and it was like because they auto detect settings. And it was like rendering at it put all the settings to high, rendered at 720, and did some AI upscaling, right?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
Why not put the settings at medium and 1080p so the game doesn't look like fucking ass, right?
Yeah.
I guess their idea is that it will get to the point where it doesn't look like ass, I guess. But I don't know. It feels cheap to me anyway. It's like, just do the frames.
Yeah. And like, even if you did manage to make it look good, it still wouldn't work because of the input lag, right? At least for like frame gen. Upscaling, sure, whatever. But like, generating frames that doesn't exist makes no sense, because like...
I mean, we just argued you should do that before, but...
Well, yeah, well, that's prediction, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
So
because the point of frame gen is to...
It could kind of work if you're doing it, if you're extrapolating, but I don't think they're doing that. I think they're interpolating.
Yeah.
Which introduces lag, right?
Yeah.
But still, like, just run it at a lower resolution and, like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't see why you would want, because yeah.
I don't know. Have we complained enough about frame gen? I feel like we've been saying the same thing a bit. Yeah. So there is one thing that a lot of people talk about, or not a lot of people, but a few people talk about, and that is frame rate independence.
Yes. Now,
we are of the opinion, or I guess it's a fact, you could say, that frame rate independence is not achievable, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of frame rate independence is that the game will be exactly the same no matter what frame rate you play it at.
Yes.
Like the physics simulation and whatever. Yeah. And like...
For most games, that is not possible now.
Yes.
Because they're stepping. So if when you're stepping, you're simulating the world one step at a time, which means that the step size will affect the simulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do.
Yeah.
So unless it's a completely like you have a math formula or whatever, that can be completely deterministic or whatever, right? Because you can say like what is the position at time, whatever time, 1 second.
Yeah.
And that will always give you the same results. But as soon as you want the objects to interact with each other, that's gonna break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm even more picky about that actually these days. So obviously you don't want the game to lag. But so a lot of people will complain, and obviously if the game runs at 30 FPS, they should complain because games shouldn't run at 30 FPS. But like if it's running at a reasonable frame rate, like 60, I prefer 120. I don't know why 60 is standard. Honestly, it's actually quite insane that people still. I guess it's because people have 60 Hz monitors, but still, I think games should just like the standard should be 120, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
So games should just run at 120, and I mean they could do some fancy shit to make it smoother on higher frame rates. Like you would run it ahead, like we said, and then you'll interpolate the run ahead or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could work for higher frame rates, but I think just capping it to something like 120 or 240 is the way to go. What was my point? I had a point. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the slowdown, right? So a lot of people will, when there's games like, oh look, the frame rate is tied to the game logic or whatever. Don't they know how to code or whatever? And I think that's better because when you tie the simulation to the frame rate, the game will slow down when you slow down the frame rate, which means the simulation is stable, right? Because it's just gonna slow down when it's too heavy. It's not gonna change the simulation.
Yeah.
So a lot of like, I don't know the exact settings, but I think in Unreal, for example, it's like capped somewhat, but not completely. So you can have like undeterministic steps in Unreal Engine, at least by default. I don't know. It just like if I think about games that are super duper like snappy and responsive and like you know what I mean, right?
Feel good to play.
Like the feel is actually perfect. They are always like something like, I don't know, like a fighting game or like a shoot 'em up where it's like it's like literally just using frames and ticking in the right? And it's like if you change anything, it's just broken, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because like it gets really weird, I think. I like it, at least it's the reason I think, right? It's because it gets really weird with like, oh no, so it's running at this like like you specify, oh, this attack is gonna take half a second, but then that in half is bad, like 0.23 seconds or something, and that doesn't divide evenly in the frame, so it's not gonna like turn out the same depending on, you know, what the frame rate is or whatever. It just feels bad. I don't know. Do you have a better, less rambly thing to say?
I think that's a good point, and I think it goes back to what we've been saying like a few times this video. It's like the games that lock their frame rate, you know, as you said, shmups and fighting games and stuff like that, are games where that matters. So it's like it's very obvious that the people who care about it know that it's good to do. And so I just think that, you know, other people should look at that and see like, oh wait, those guys that play games where like a single frame matters a lot, they do this. Maybe we should also do this. Maybe we're wrong about the fact that this doesn't matter, like frame rate independence or frame rate. You know what I mean? Like I said that the wrong way around, but you get it. It's like it makes the game feel better.
I mean, and there's like sort of things you can do to get around it on higher ends, right? Like I said, like so you can like, let's say you run it at 120, but you want it to be smooth at like 240 or something. You can do something where you like I said, you do some like not like the extrapolation or something, right? Where it's like creates a frame that it doesn't keep or something. Like there's ways you could make it smoother, but it's still gonna be. It will actually I take that back. It's still gonna be worse than just running it. Like the responsiveness wise, it's still gonna be better on 120. Actually, I changed my mind. No, but it's gonna be smoother. So yeah, I think it's fine if you want it smoother as a developer. I mean, right? To do some stuff to make it smoother, but you can't just, you know, oh, you can run it any frame rate and it just works, right? You need to think. It's like you need to do super fancy shit, right? And it's still gonna be like technically 120. It's just gonna look smoother, right? So you should never mess with the like timings. I think that's just it should just be fixed. That's my opinion at least. But again, it still feels nicer to have it completely locked 120 than to do weird shit, I think.
Yeah, and like one final point I want to say about this is that like game developers who like, you know, aren't making shmups or whatever, as I said, they tend to see fixed frame rate as like bad programming, whatever. And I think you mentioned it briefly, and it's like, no, it's not. It's actually like it's actually good. And at least I hope that opinion becomes more popular with time, I guess.
Yeah, and to not get too technical, but like there is sort of a difference here, right? Where the tick rate of the simulation can be like locked and the visuals cannot, right? And you can do stuff with that, especially going down. So like, let's say you wanted to, let's say you have a game that runs at 120, but you want it to run at 60. You can do that by running 2 steps for every frame, right? Visual frame. And that's going to be completely fine. But if you want to, you can't like just, because some people just say, oh, you just do this thing where you run this fancy loop, right? And it's not that simple. Like there is things you can do. But it's not that simple, and it's never gonna feel as nice as 1-to-1. That's my opinion. Or that's my point. Yeah. So basically, there's things you can do, but it's always 1-to-1 is always gonna feel the nicest. Yes.
So the next point we wanted to talk about was mice, and I actually have a bit of a rant here.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not gonna be long, I promise.
Go ahead.
But like,
I have all day.
The amount of people who like play FPS games, competitive FPS games seriously, and like take them seriously or whatever, that play with the shittiest, heaviest, crappiest mice is like completely insane.
Yeah.
I have like met so many people who like, you know, I play CS with them and whatever, and then like I visit them, like I visit their house one day and I sit down at their computer and like move their mouse. And it's like it's the heaviest, shittiest thing. Like it's actually hard to aim. Like I actually, I even one time there was even one who had like Windows mouse acceleration turned on. It's like I was trying to like press a button like in the browser or whatever, and like I couldn't hit it like at all because the mouse was so nice, like it wasn't only the acceleration, it was heavy too, right? So it was like very imprecise, and like
and mousepad matters there as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's also one thing that I wanted to mention. And then there's people who have like the tiniest mouse pads ever, and like I guess the point I want to make here is that like, yeah, sure, you could make the argument that like buying well, actually no, maybe you couldn't, maybe. Like the problem is that like good mice aren't that expensive, right?
No, mice is actually very like you mentioned earlier, keyboards. Mice is also one of those things where, and I think competitive shooters is to thank for that. They have like gone like really far in terms of quality compared to gamepads.
Yeah. And like my point is that you can buy like a very light mouse with like good hardware and stuff for like the same price as like the standard Logitech G whatever, and it doesn't make any sense that people aren't doing this. And I think it like sort of boils down to that they don't know that it's so much better to use like a light, nice mouse. And then there's also the fact, going back to what we said about batteries, like people with wireless mice who like they weigh 500 kilos more.
I mean, the new ones are actually pretty good. They are pretty light. I have to
Are
admit.
they? Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't used one in a few years.
Like the super new ones, they are pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Okay.
I still don't think it's worth it. I don't see why you would want it to be any heavier, right?
Yeah.
And why you would want a battery? That's just annoying. But
yeah,
I mean, they are pretty good. If you're like one of those where the wire is getting in the way, right? One of those people.
Yeah. And yeah, I it goes back to what I said like in the beginning of the episode, that like your peripherals matters for like your performance in game, I guess. And it's like these people that I play CS with, like I don't understand how they can hit a fucking bullet when they have that fucking mouse. It's insane.
Yeah, but even like because I knew you could argue a mouse costs money, right? But even going even further, I would argue maybe that's not the case for you. But I've been playing with people where well, you said mouse acceleration, right? But their settings are just insane. It's like they're playing at like 18 centimeters for a 360 or something, and it's like they're like, oh, I don't know why I can't aim. And it's like you're like, you know what I mean? Like it's maybe to someone that seems slow, but obviously you want to go down to like 30 or 40 centimeters for a 360. I mean, there's games or whatever where it's not like that, but like especially like Counter-Strike, like you're playing, then you want like 40, 50, I think. You want like super
it's
slow
actually
mouse.
It's actually pretty funny because like I play quite a bit of CS. I haven't played that much in recent times, but like whenever I feel like I've like hit a plateau in my aiming where it's like I'm kind of not getting better at aiming, I just lower my sensitivity and then I get instantly better at aiming. And it's like
I mean, there are games where you want
very
the speed as well, so there's arguments to be had about stuff, but CS is, I feel like...
Well, that sort of brings us into the next point here.
Yes.
Very, very good that you mentioned that, because I guess you are too, so I'll say that we are not anti-mouse acceleration.
No, I love mouse acceleration. I would use it for all games if it wasn't like... You risk getting banned in a lot of games.
Yeah, because you need like third-party software and stuff. Yeah.
You know, I went hardcore into that. I was like using like the like glass mouse pads with no friction and like Yeah,
and like so to be extra clear, I mentioned Windows mouse acceleration. That sucks. So because we both experimented this at the same time.
Just to clarify why Windows mouse acceleration sucks is because of how the curve looks. So if you Google it, I don't remember how it looks, but it's not a intuitive curve. It's like made so that if you're bad at aiming at things, you can aim at them, right? That's what it's like. You can click on icons. That's the way it's designed.
Well, isn't it it increases way too fast, way too early, right?
Yeah, and then there is like an extra bump, right, of acceleration. I think so. It's super bad for if you want accurate aiming. So for what I like is usually just there is different curves you can use, by the way, but I just like a linear curve where it's like it just increases the more you move it, right? And then you can cap it if you want.
I experimented with it a bit, and I found that what I like the most is to like have the acceleration not activate.
Yeah, stuff
like at first, and then like have not linear, but like what's it called? Like when it's like, no, I didn't like a linear curve where it's like it increases a little bit first and then a lot later. Exponential, is that what you call it?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it could go either way. I think it could go like fast first and then slow down, or slower and then fast. So yeah.
Or it could be like S-shaped or whatever. But like the point I want to make is that like acceleration is good because it allows you to be more versatile. You get the precision of like not having it on, where it's like you're moving the mouse only a little bit because you need to like correct your spray in CS or whatever. And then you have the like flick ability, right? Because when you move the mouse fast, it moves even faster.
Yeah.
And so like I think that if developers started taking mouse acceleration seriously, like if they added it to CS, I would be so happy, because the problem with having really, really low sensitivity is that
you can't turn.
You can't turn, right? And so having mouse acceleration allows you to have really, really, really low sensitivity while also being able to turn. Yeah. So it's like the best of both worlds. And it's weird that like developers aren't taking it as seriously. I think it's sort of like, the Windows default mouse acceleration has kind of ruined the reputation of all mouse acceleration, so nobody cares about it. And I really wish it wasn't misunderstood.
I mean, there's actually a point to be made about, so you didn't buy mice at that time, but there was a point where laser mice was popular. All mice are optical these days, right? And there is an argument to be made that laser mice are actually better than optical mice, but like because it was early, they never got off, right? Like the early sensors were bad, or like they had problems. But there is a world where you could, laser is actually potentially. I'm not, I haven't looked into it super much in detail, right? But in theory, there could be a world where laser would be preferred over optical. Which is interesting as well, right? So it's not necessarily the optimal thing that is always the thing that wins or whatever, right? Yeah.
And I guess, once again, do you have anything else you want to say about acceleration?
No,
So once again, you mentioned something, what's most popular isn't always the best. And that brings us perfectly into keyboard switches, right? So this is something that annoys me a lot. And
can I say something before we start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we start, I don't understand why this world has so many nice options. Is it because it's not only gamers? Is that why? Because gamers are stupid?
Yeah, I think
and the typists actually care as well about this, and so therefore it's actually...
I think it's a more feeling thing. Like, having a keyboard that feels good is important, right?
Yeah.
It's not only about performance in game.
Yeah, but even like the amount of options there are, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So it's like when we said with gamepads, there's like not that many options, and there's definitely not hot swappable gamepads, right? Where you can swap out the buttons. Whereas with keyboards, it's like, you can like, there's split keyboards, 10 keyless, full size, 75%, even weirder percent, high, like normal size Cherry MX switches, low profile switches, different kinds of like the keycaps, like Cherry style keycaps or whatever, and I don't remember the name, but there's other styles, right?
Yeah.
So there's like
I think
so
part
many
of
options.
it. I think part of it is that keyboards doesn't have like the first party problem, where like as you mentioned with PlayStation, where it's like you need an official PlayStation controller, right? And stuff like that. So like PC stuff is always like there's been competition, and so there's a keyboard for everyone out there, right? Whereas with the console, you only have the official stuff basically, and like in recent years that's opened up a bit, because people are starting to use controllers on their PC too, or whatever. But the thing that I wanted to mention is, as you mentioned, what's most popular isn't always what's best. And now I know that this is like completely subjective and whatever.
It's not. I don't think so.
Like whenever you like read about mechanical switches online, people will say, "Oh, use linear switches for gaming because they're objectively the best," and like they're wrong.
Yes.
Yes,
but there is an argument to be
made.
made. Sorry for interrupting you. There is an argument to be made, which is they're silent. So if you're buying linear switches because you are playing in like a living room and you don't want to make the people around you insane, that's a fair point.
Yes.
But you can't argue that they're nicer than... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So what people usually say is they say buy linear switches for gaming and clicky switches if you want to like write or whatever. And they are completely wrong. Yes. As you said, the only argument for linear switches is that they're silent. Clicky is so much better, and there's a very good reason for this. It's not only that they feel better, because they feel very good and they sound very nice and whatever. It's that you have binary, like, mechanical feedback, I guess, that you have pressed the button.
When it happens, yes.
Yeah.
Visual, or sorry, not visual, like audio and feel
like
and...
in the fingers. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And like that is super, super, super important. And you know, people argue that like, oh, well, there's a slight bump in the clicky switches, therefore it like takes longer to press and therefore it's worse, which I don't think makes any sense at all, because when you press a linear switch, you don't know when it's activated, right? Yeah. So like the argument is that you can like spam the linear switch more. Yeah, you need to go all the way down because you don't know when you've pressed it. With a clicky switch, you can kind of like hover at the like like the edge of the activation, I guess, because you get clear tactile feedback that, oh shit, this button is pressed down, now I can let it go.
There is also one more thing to bring up, which is this. Yeah. There's these newer ones. I don't remember if they're magnetic these days.
Isn't that Hall effect too?
Yeah. Well, Hall effect is magnetic stuff, I think. You can use those to cheat, basically. So maybe there's an argument to be made there, like where you click multiple times in one press or something, right? They do like super, you know, stuff like that. I haven't looked into it because I'm not that interested, honestly. But there is stuff like that where it's like, oh yeah, you can like map multiple like clicks to one button somehow in an interesting way. And then like if you have those, maybe you don't want them to be clicky. I can understand that.
Yeah, sure.
But still, they don't feel as nice, for sure, right? Yeah, sorry, continue. I just wanted to bring
but that. I was sort of done with my rant, but like, I think it's so funny because to me it's very obvious that that's something that people say just because everyone else is saying. Yeah. Right? They say get linear switches for gaming because everyone else is saying get linear switches for gaming. Like, if you actually try it out, which I've tried out a lot of switches, like maybe too many. I'm not even gonna talk about tactile switches; they are ass. But like, if you actually try it out, if you actually try to play like action games, you know, I think I would bet that if you currently have a linear keyboard and I told you to get a clicky keyboard, I think your performance in game would improve. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bring up a point there because I used to use a lot of linear back in the day, and then I swapped to clicky. And one genre, I guess, I thought would make where I thought the linear was like a big difference was rhythm games, right? Because then you tap and you tap really fast. But obviously, or like you just said, because of the feedback, it actually turned out to be the other way around. The clicky was actually like I was way more precise with the clicky because it was very clear when I clicked the button. Whereas I got this like, sure, you could like spam the linear or whatever, but the timing was harder to get down because when it was registered wasn't as clear, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think another issue is that a lot of the clicky switches are very heavy.
Yes.
And heavy switches is another thing that, I mean, you could argue that's a little bit preference because, like, we have different, like, strengths in our fingers or whatever, right? But I don't know how you feel, but for me, it's like well, the lightest spring that can actually move the button up is the best spring, right? If that makes sense.
And I think
like if it's yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think clicky switches have another advantage here because I've had linear keyboards which were really light, which were so light that I accidentally pressed buttons on occasion.
Yeah, I had that as well.
And the advantage with clicky keyboards is that since there's this like slight bump when you press, the like chance of you accidentally pressing a button is basically 0, and so you can get away with having an even lighter key.
Yeah,
so it's like
technically
even more advantage.
Bump is gonna be heavier, I guess.
Yeah.
It depends
but
on
like
how you
the rest
measure
of the key.
It. But the spring, and I think maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like a clicky button needs a heavier spring to get how do you say? Like, because if it's linear, it just needs to move up and down, but it needs to get past the click thing. But still, like, in general, they should be lighter, I think. That thing you mentioned about them being too light, that was a thing for me as well, but it didn't bother me that much, actually. I just want them to be light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like, one thing that you mentioned is like a lot of clicky switches are heavy, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is once again sort of a case of like people who use clicky switches don't care about them being light, so there aren't many available. Yeah. And because when you look at linear switches, there's like a bunch. There's like 5 billion different types of like super light, stuff, ultra gaming switches or whatever. But like when you look at clicky switches, there's like maybe 1 or 2. Yeah. And you still use them, right? The Kale Bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're both using Kale Bronze Super Speed. And they are like, I think they're the lightest clicky switches out there, right?
I don't at least.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, I hope
there is other stuff that matters. Sorry for interrupting you, but like, you could argue like travel distance might matter more sometimes than actual weight, right? So like I think there could be a switch that is heavier than these that are shorter in travel distance that is better, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's not just weight, but the thing is, it's like a lot of switches feel like you need to press them for a very long amount of time, and they're very heavy, right? And that's the bad stuff. Like you want it to be like fast, because like compared to like micro switches in a mouse, right? That's a funny comparison to do because mice never have linear switches, right? They always have clicky micro switches, and they're like super snappy and instant, and they're probably heavier than the keyboard switches, but they're like short, and they feel really nice, right? So honestly, like, maybe a keyboard with micro switches like in the mouse would be nice. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Fun, interesting thing to think about. A bit quick off-topic thing as well, right? Is that I usually I play arcade games on arcade stick, right? And that's one of the things I like about the arcade stick, that it's clicky compared to an analog stick, because you get feedback, and it's so nice. And sure, technically it's square, not round, with which an analog stick is round, right? Because technically you have 4 buttons, right? So it's technically square, but still, it's so much nicer than to play on an analog stick because of the feedback. And you could argue, but it's not analog, and it's like, well, I don't know about you. I don't think the analog part of analog stick is that interesting. Maybe it could be if it was a more precise input thing.
Yeah.
But, it depends tiny shitty stick. I don't know. It's just annoying that like, I pressed left and then it moved like 1 pixel less because I didn't press it enough left, right? It's just it's nicer to just keyboard style where like I click for whatever. Sorry, continue.
It depends a bit on the game. Like a racing game, analog is slightly more nice, I guess.
I would still not want the stick though. I would want the trigger, like for the pedal style, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like it depends on the game if analog is good or not necessarily. But yeah, I hope manufacturers. I was about to say before. I hope manufacturers start taking clicky switches more seriously, because they should. I want like, if you're making keyboard switches, and you should make light switches that like have early activation and are clicky, because I will buy them and I will pay insane amounts of money for them.
Yes.
Yes. I guess that's it for today.
Yeah, do we want to summarize?
It's been a long episode. Yeah, I'll try to sum everything up. We've been talking about a lot today, and for long. So, your gamepad is holding you back. And why is that? Well, first of all, it's the layout. You know, if you're playing a 2D side-scroller, you don't want to use a shitty stick that sucks. You want to use a nice D-pad or like some buttons or whatever. And modern consoles suck because they have shitty DRM and they have input lag and whatever. Also, people don't care about input lag, and they should. Input lag matters. What more did we talk about? Oh yeah, screens. Screens suck. 4K is overrated. What's it called? High frame rate is way more important than like having high resolution, and like I guess sort of what's relevant to all of these points is that, you know, the fact that people don't care about these things shows that they are not real gamers. We've talked about that a lot today. We've been gatekeeping gaming by peripherals today. That's another very big point.
Should rename the episode.
Yeah. If you don't have our peripherals, you're not a gamer.
Gatekeeping.
Yes. And then we talked a bit about frame gen. It sucks. It doesn't make any sense. What more? Frame rate. Fixed frame rate and frame rate independence. You should try fixed frame rate if you're making a game. And then we talked a bit about mice. The fact that people use really weird mice and really weird mouse settings and like super high sensitivity and whatever. And also about mouse acceleration, that it's underrated. And lastly, we talked about keyboard switches. Clicky switches are good. That was a very long summary because we've talked about a bunch of stuff today.
Hopefully you guys found some of it interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. If you leave comments about your peripherals in the and why we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong about this stuff.
And if you think linear switches are better for gaming, don't leave a comment.
No, do.
No, I'm just kidding. Do, please do. But yeah.
But you're wrong. You were definitely wrong.
Yes. So yeah, thank you all for listening.
Like and subscribe. Watch our old videos.
And thanks for the support on the last few videos.
Yes.
It's been absolutely amazing, as usual.
Thank you.
So I guess see you next week.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.